It is an honor to welcome you on this month of October. It is the 1st of October 2025. Welcome to Citizen News in Brief. My name is Wycliffe Orandi. Now, there was a low voter turnout of Kenyans seeking to register as voters today as the continuous voter registration exercise entered day 3. IEBC officials in Naivasha constituency in Nakuru County have raised concerns over the low turnout, calling on Kenyans to turn out to register at the constituency offices countrywide. IEBC targets to register 6.3 million new voters by the year 2027.
For Naivasha, for 2027, is 201,935 registered voters. Remember, I had started by saying that as at 2022, we had a total of 157,128 registered voters. So way forward is we will have an addition of 44,807. That is the target for Naivasha. And so the numbers are very low, and the challenges might be the voter apathy.
To matters education, where the lecturers' strike entered the 3rd week, with staff unions insisting that they will not return to work until their demands are met. They want the 7.9 billion shillings arrears from the 2017 to 2021 CBA settled, full implementation of the 2021 to 2025 CBA, and immediate talks on the 2025 to 2029 CBA.
Wasimamizi wa vyuo vikuu, wacheni vitisho. Kama mnataka maongezi au majadiliano, tupo. Jongeeni mbele. Ketini kwenye meza, tuangaliani macho kwa macho, alafu tuzemezane. Lakini kutuambia na kututisha na kufanya nini hayatasaidia hayo yote, bali mgomo. Swala nzima la mgomo ni kwa sababu sheria au mahakama ilipitisha ya kwamba hawa wafanyikazi walipwe fedha zao. Tusidai. Walipeni pesa zao, mgomo utaisha.
3 demands. Moja imetimizwa. Si hiyo mlikula? Sasa mnangoja 7.9. Let them not entice you with the 2.3 billion. Hoovering a few coins of expiation to lecturers like 2.3 billion. You think now that is enough? We want 7.9. Thank you very much.
Now, the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya, ISPAC, is demanding an immediate inquiry, rather independent inquiry, into the Social Health Authority recruitment saga, where whistleblower Andrew Rotich, who exposed the multi-billion shillings fraud, was controversially dropped from the shortlist. Rotich, formerly the Deputy Director of Forensic Audit and Risk Assurance at SHA, is said to have lost his job after lifting the lead on the scandal. ISPAC is also calling for the protection of whistleblowers and evidence, including security guarantees for Rotich and his family.
While recruitment processes are the prerogative of appointing authorities, the circumstances surrounding the non-inclusion of CPA Rotich and 2 other deputy directors in the latest shortlist raises issues of public interest. ISPAC's concern is that if left unaddressed, such developments could inadvertently discourage professionals from speaking out on accountability matters.
Royal Media Services, in partnership with Zizi Afrique Foundation, will conduct a 4-episode education town hall series starting the 13th of October this month in Nairobi. Speaking during the official launch of the partnership at the Royal Media Services headquarters in Nairobi, the group's editorial director, Linus Kaikai, said the forums will involve ordinary members of the public seeking answers from policymakers from the government, unions, and other policy leaders with the aim of unpacking national issues for the public with the public. The upcoming town hall session on the 13th of October will be centered on the competency-based education, the national system of education under implementation in Kenya, under the theme Transition from Junior Secondary School to Senior Secondary School.
So thank you.
And we all know how critical the education sector in this country is. It is at a critical junction right now where there's transition in the CBE system. There are also challenges that we are also witnessing. All this should be put to the table for discussion, and this is what this partnership brings up. It gives a platform to Kenyans to have a say on how the education sector is being run.
We hope to bring in even more partners to be able to be part of this conversation, because we believe the reforms that are going on at the moment are very important reforms, and the public and especially communities and citizens cannot just be bystanders and people who who participate passively. So we look forward to very exciting conversations in the coming days.
The older persons are calling on the government to increase the monthly stipends for those on the Inua Jamii program in order to cater for the hard economic times. Speaking while making the internal day for the older persons, speaking while marking the internal day for the older persons, some of the elderly cited harassment and neglect during the sunset days. The Chief Executive Officer, Hardy Trust Kenya, Stanley Kamau, says the government must ensure security to the older generation.
Tuna pesa tunapewa. Hii pesa haitoshi. Ni kidogo sana. Tena inachelewa. Kuna miezi ingine tulipata tulikaa miezi mbili. Lakini ni mzuri sababu alituma yote.
Gawa mentally inasaidia mkongwe kujisikia ni kama amepata pesa, lakini inaisha the same day. Na wengine hata haiwafikii. Kwa hivyo mimi nasema ni mwito wangu kwa serikali ihakikisha wakongwe wamepewa pesa kulingana na sheria ya employment. Kulingana na Kenya, sheria ya employment inasema mshahara ile dogo sana ni 15,000.
When people grow old, when I was growing old, we were staying together with our grandmother, with our grandfather. But these days, you people, you have immigrated to town. And you have left your mothers and your grandmothers home. They are getting a lot of problems. Loneliness, hunger.
We have had cases in some of the counties, I don't want to mention them, where the elderly people have actually been accused of witchcraft, and most of them end up being killed. I think it's a high time for the communities, the neighbors, the provincial administration, the church, every one of us, to protect the dignity of the elderly people in our country.
To the corridors of justice, where former Kiambu Governor Ferdinand Waititu has for the third time failed to secure his release from prison after the High Court on Wednesday declined to vary his bond terms, requiring a 53 million shillings bank guarantee. Waititu had moved before Lady Justice Lucy Njuguna, seeking the substitution of the bank guarantee with a cash deposit, an application that the court declined. Justice Njuguna has also cautioned Waititu's defense against further appeals on the matter, as the case involves other accused persons still in custody and who have previously complained that the matter was dragging. The former Kiambu County Chief remains incarcerated following a 12-year sentence handed to him and his co-accused in a 588 million shillings road contract scandal. The court has set 120 days from today to hear and determine the appeal challenging the sentence. The Lake Victoria Aquaculture Association has called on Mining and Fisheries CS Ali Hassan Joho to set up a framework that will regulate the practice of aquaculture across the country. Speaking in Kisumu, the association secretary Pete Ondeng decried what he said was a regulatory paralysis that has set back cage fish farmers from getting access to credit and insurance packages. This comes 3 days after cage fish farmers at Dunga Beach in Kisumu lost fish of up to 10 million shillings due to sudden death of fish in the cages. The High Court had suspended the fisheries management and development regulations in December following a petition challenging, among other things, the imposition of a 5% tax on the value of the landed fish.
There is no regulation. I heard a government official the other day blaming the fish farmers and saying they don't listen, they don't pay attention. The question is, to what? They don't want to pay attention to what regulation? And we're waiting for the ministry to do what it agreed to do, which is to redraft those regulations and reissue them so that people know what the rules of the game are.
Youth in Laikipia West have launched a campaign to mobilize their peers to register as voters under the hashtag Sisori Ni Action. The youth, led by Peter Gishia and Gadhigia Maina, launched the initiative at the Laikipia West IBC office in Nyahururu, urging young people to register as voters and make decisive choices at the ballot. They recalled the lives lost during the Gen Z protests, stressing that voter registration is the best way to secure their rights. The campaign will run through social media forums, churches and social gatherings. IBC coordinator Teresia Midhamo urged residents to register, verify details or transfer voter cards.
We want to mobilize youth to take IDs, and those who don't have IDs, just to come and take IDs and register for voting. As a leader with my fellow comrades, youth and Gen Z, time has come to change and transform our future. Nasi story, ni action.
For years, we have suffered under leaders who only put their interests at heart. We have been through corruption, unemployment, and the struggle of young people. It's ignored. Yet, that era of silence should be silenced. That era is over.
And here in Laikipia West, we had a few voters come to register yesterday, and quite a number who wanted to change their particulars, and also to inquire whether they can transfer, which is possible. You can transfer.
In other news, the Cabinet Secretary for Public Service, Geoffrey Ruku, has launched a distribution of relief food to drought-affected regions in the country. The CS said that the distribution of maize, rice and beans will sustain residents of the worst-affected counties of Mandera and Turkana for 1 month, targeting more than 450,000 people in the two counties. In addition, 2.15 million people in arid regions are facing hunger, as the government warns that the October-December rains will be below average.
Since the drought is biting, and therefore we need to intervene before things get out of hand. And that is how it should be.
Food insecurity causes insecurity in the wider perspective of the term insecurity. People are going to start going all over, looking for this for a way to live. And that is what brings cattle rustling. That is what is going to send our people across international boundaries.
The government is well prepared to ensure, even if there will be poor performance of short rains during this period of October and December 2025, in January next year, and in February next year, there will be enough food in every corner of these counties which are facing food insecurities.
Makueni County government launched its 2025 energy policy aimed at ensuring residents adopt clean and environmentally friendly energy. Speaking during the launch, Makueni Governor Mtula Kilonzo Jr. says the county has already made progress in clean energy use, especially solar, with hospitals and water projects now running on solar power to cut high electricity costs. He added that the new policy will accelerate residents' shift to green energy. The policy is being developed with technical support from the UK PACT program.
Energy access is an employment enabler, and this policy creates a framework for public-private investment, which will support green jobs and ensure that energy access reaches women, youth and marginalised communities.
We deployed 44 solar projects across key sectors, achieving an installed capacity of approximately 810.8 kilowatt KWP with a budget investment of nearly 100 million.
Now, the Eastern and Southern African Dairy Association, ESADA, is holding the 17th African Dairy Conference at Nairobi's Kenyatta Convention Center. The conference is running simultaneously with the exhibition, which brings together dairy stakeholders from across 13 member countries, as well as global delegates and exhibitors. The event seeks to increase investment, partnerships, and position the country as a continental leader in dairy development. Speaking during the launch of the conference, Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe said the government is set to embrace dairy technology for the benefit of the nation and the continent at large.
The current government policy of bottom-up is to double the production. As I told you, we are targeting 10 billion. We also want to increase the formal market, which is going through the processing plants, the milk which being sold informally, we want to transform it by 70%, and we are targeting also to export.
The government of Kenya reaffirms its unwavering commitment to working with you to modernize, integrate, and transform this vital sector.
Now in the Champions League today, the who is who is playing, and we have the early kickoff will see our Union SG take on Newcastle and Karabag take on Copenhagen. That is at 7:45 p.m. Now at 10 p.m, Arsenal will be host to Olympiacos, Barcelona versus PSG, Leverkusen versus PSV, Dortmund will be hosting Athletic, Monaco versus Manchester City, Napoli versus Sporting, Villarreal will be hosting Juventus. That's all we had for you on Citizen Briefs this afternoon. Thank you very much for keeping me company mornings at 7 and 9 p.m. I'm weekly for Andy. Have a good afternoon.